If I don't like people telling me what to do, how am I going to get a job?
Going back to 2010, when you started pushing on digital marketing, you started getting calls.
When we first started, we started with $50,000. And we need to understand financial management really well. We need to understand operations. We need to understand all these other aspects of the business. And it's not just sales and marketing.
But your parents didn't understand your ambition to be an entrepreneur.
No, my mom was really worried for me.
So welcome. Thanks for coming on. One thing, I saw you on 40 Under 40. I've been, talking to you for a long time, and I see your company everywhere. And I just actually saw it yesterday, building an infill. And it's just like taking construction, putting a marketing arm on it. And I feel like that's you. Is that a good representation of you?
Yeah, well, no, thanks for having me on here. And I mean, definitely marketing is a huge component of what we do. But there's just so much to it. So, to those that are not familiar with Ottawa General Contractors, we're a design build construction company that focuses on residential construction projects. So kitchens, bathrooms, basements, additions, custom homes, mini homes, low-rise apartments. And marketing is definitely how we get our name out there. But building a company that does kind of like 8 figures of revenue successfully, and what I mean by successfully isn't necessarily just being able to build the project. The most difficult thing about this business is how do you build the project but have happy clients, happy vendors, so like your subcontractors, and then have happy staff, right? Because construction is just a game of conflict everywhere.
And how did you get started?
So that's an interesting question, because I got started in probably an unconventional way when you look at how most people get started in construction. The typical story of learning the trade from your father and whatnot was not how I got into it. In 2009, 2010, me, my brother, and a good buddy of mine, we were really into reading books, and we came across the 4-Hour Workweek. Did you ever hear about the 4-Hour Workweek?
With Tim
Ferriss, yeah. And we found it just fascinating how this guy was able to start businesses while basically subbing out every component of his business. From the marketing to the customer service to even the operations and the fulfillment. And it really opened up our eyes a little bit to digital marketing. This kind of like whole new world of being able to generate sales and leads and whatnot through the internet. And we dabbled a little bit in digital marketing. And we're like, hey, you know what? I think we can do something really cool here.
And this was back in when, 2012?
2009, 2010.
Wow, early.
Yeah, like early on. So we decided to try it out in construction, because we're like, well, what's the biggest industry that is kind of an arm's length away from us? And it's like construction. So we threw up a landing page.
No kidding.
And started generating some leads, and we're like, wow, people are calling us to potentially do some business with us. And I was 24, 25 years old. It was super cool, really kind of different way of thinking. And I think, actually, sorry, before we got into construction, my brother launched the most random thing, and I think it had something to do with Tim Ferriss's vitamins. He launched a prenatal vitamin, so prenatal like vitamins for pregnant ladies.
Yeah.
And I remember I was in Greece with a buddy of mine, and the first thing that he learned specifically in digital marketing was SEO, search engine optimization, and being able to rank for certain keywords at the top of Google. And I remember being in Greece, and I'm like, you know what? Let me Google prenatal vitamins. And then I saw his brand at the top when I was in Greece, and I was like, wow, we might be onto something here. This is pretty cool. Let's get into construction. And then next thing you know, we opened up Vancouver General Contractors. We opened up Ottawa General Contractors, and then it was off to the races.
So when you had that aha moment of oh, wow, this is pretty cool for the vitamins, what was going through your mind at that point? It's opportunity, is that what was triggered? You're like, okay, let's go all in on it?
That's it, right? Because especially in my early 20s, I was in search for opportunities. I was just I needed to be an entrepreneur. I need to know what it is I'm going to go all in on.
Why did you need to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so that's a deep, deep question. And depends how far back you want to go,
Mhm.
right? But since I can even remember, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I don't know if it's because I just saw my father driving a taxi for 12, 14 hours a day and never got to see him. And all he was doing is just, trying to support our family and, maybe seeing a lot of arguments happen at home because of financial reasons. And I always told myself, well, you know what, like, I don't want to be in this situation again. I want that financial freedom, and not so I didn't necessarily ever really think about driving Lamborghinis or
Mm,
Ferraris. I just wanted that kind of peace.
yeah.
And at that time, I thought that, being financially secure will give me that peace.
And did you have anyone in your family that was an entrepreneur, or like you just saw Dragon's Den and it triggered it type
Yeah,
of thing?
well, no, so that's an even another interesting question. So I remember being really young, and my mom told me I needed to get experience in this world. So I was like, okay, you know what? Like in grade 10, I'm gonna go work at McDonald's. I'm gonna start getting experience. And then I remember, being told what to do, pretty normal, right? And then I remember just hating it. I hated
Mhm.
people telling me what to do. And then I had a bit of an aha moment. I was just like, damn, I am screwed in life. If
Yeah,
I don't like people telling me what to do,
yeah,
how am I gonna get a job?
yeah.
So it's really funny because I still specifically remember that it was the person even telling me to go throw out the garbage, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm just like this is pretty bad. Like
Yeah.
they're telling me what to do. I'm not liking it. Like I don't like. My mom wants me to get experience, but I hate all of this. Like what's what's left there for me to do?
Right.
And then throughout the many other years to come, you try to get a summer job and whatnot, and I don't know if it's because they saw Ferris Elsabbagh on a resume and I never got any calls. And I just had this moment where I was just like, nobody's going to open a door for me. I don't like people telling me what to do. I got to take power into my own hands. And this really was my only option,
Mm,
which was to be an entrepreneur. And it was just like, I got to give it my best shot because it was literally do or die for me. And
mm,
I really felt like that.
mm,
So I was always in search of opportunities. And when that kind of came across, when I saw that, wow, like we're doing some interesting things with digital marketing, when I saw the market cap potential of residential construction, and at that time I was in Vancouver because I was working for a student travel company at the time, and I was in Vancouver and I saw all these cranes in the sky, and I'm like this is the place to be. Like let's give this a shot, right? And it's funny how sometimes ignorance is bliss,
yeah.
right? Because like reflecting back, I had so much confidence. I was
Right.
like, I'm gonna do it. Nothing's gonna get in my way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make this happen.
Yeah.
And it's like a year goes in, and it's like,
Right.
I don't know if I can do this. Like,
Right.
like I'm crumbling, right? Especially because like we're always really good at generating business.
Mm,
So, marketing, sales, no problem. Our first year we did $1 million. And like I've never lifted a hammer in my life.
right.
And like I was the guy I'm like, I got all these jobs happening, and a lot of these problems were happening, and I didn't have solutions for them.
Mm,
And it really put my back against the wall many times. And it's funny because when I look back, I'm like, man, how did I just have so much confidence? Because if I knew what I was about to go through over the next
yeah.
16 years,
Yeah.
like I'd probably be like, screw this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna go get a regular job and let people tell me what to do. And don't get me wrong, I've had those moments where I wanted to quit a million times, but thank God I didn't, man, because
Yeah.
what a huge difference.
Yeah.
And like who I am now versus who I could have been if I followed that traditional path.
So take me back to 2010, and or like when you started pushing on digital marketing, you started getting calls,
Yeah.
you started landing those calls.
Yep.
So you're selling a product that you don't even have, you might not even have the back end. And I think
Yeah.
that's so important because a lot of people wait to do the back end and then they sell and it's already too late. They've
Right.
already spent so much money on the back end,
Hmm.
where you're like, let the customer tell me what they want,
That's it.
and then I'll create the product that's they want,
Hmm.
and then keep on selling it, and then finding the business around that.
That's it.
So when clients were calling you, were they speaking with you directly, a salesperson, or like, did you want to be a part of that conversation? Like,
Yeah, when it was all, I mean, when we started with $50,000, and like seeing, how much money we spend now, and overhead and whatnot. I'm like, I can't believe we even made that happen with $50,000, right? So it's just like I couldn't just go hire anybody. So it was just basically me and one other guy, and um, I was taking the sales calls, I was doing the marketing, heck, I was doing the project managing, I was doing everything. And sorry, what was your question exactly?
so like once you sold the product,
Yeah.
then what did you do?
Yeah, then you figure it out. So working for that student travel company before construction really set me up well to be an entrepreneur. Because a big motto in that company and later in my startup company was just get sales, focus there, and then figure everything else out later. Very similar to kind of what you were just saying. It's just like, look, let's just get the sale, understand what the client wants, and then deliver on that versus trying to figure out what the client wants and then try to sell everybody on this
Mm.
one, item. And I think my experience with that student travel company really helped me because they were rapidly growing and I was rapidly expanding them across Canada. And I was wearing all the different hats. I was the sales guy, I was the marketing guy, I was the operations guy. But we were selling trips, millions of dollars worth of trips to destinations we've never even been before. Like not just me, but even the company.
Mm.
And so it just made me kind of like really realize, okay, like, yeah, I don't need to figure all the back end out. I just need to get the sales and then figure it out. But most importantly, I think from that experience was it just showed me that anything is possible,
Mm.
right? Like if I can just go around, province to province selling these trips to like Mexico and Cuba and then head down to like Cuba and facilitate all this business without ever having that experience, then I could do anything in life. So
Mm.
never, and I think that was essential going into construction because it could have been so easy for me to be like, actually, I don't know if I want to get into construction. Like I don't know anything about that.
Right.
I've never lifted a hammer before. It could have been so easy to say that.
Right.
But because I had that experience, I was just like, you know what? Like I can do anything I want. It's just, do I want to do it?
And how did you build your resilience of like getting rejected, saying no, like working the 12, 14 hours, 7 days a week? Like, was that in you? Like, were you born with that? Or is it like you always look like, I can't work for someone else? This is my only option. So I got to figure it out.
Oh man, I wish I had that story where it's just like I was tough the whole way and I knew it was always going to work out, but like I wanted to quit so many times, to be honest with you, if I'm
Mm.
being real. And the only time I was able to, sorry, not the only time, the way I was able to find strength was by really focusing on my mental strength and my physical strength.
How?
So I remember one time, in my first year in Vancouver, I'm in the shower in the morning. I've got a million things on my mind I've got to deal with for the whole day, and just putting out a lot of fires. And for the first time ever, I felt like almost like a mini panic attack. Like
Mm.
I was like hyperventilating. That never happened to me in my life,
Mm.
right? And I was just like, this is not acceptable. This is really weak of me. Like, I'm
Mm.
going to get my butt in the gym. And I was always working out. I was always in the gym, but for that maybe moment in time, because I was focusing on the business, it wasn't as
Consistent.
consistent. Right. And also I was in a new city and so forth. So I'm like, you know what? I went rollerblading every day. I went to the gym every day. And then I only made sure I put really good food in my body because, like we're constantly regenerating cells
Mhm.
in our body. Well, like let's regenerate with something that is maybe a little bit better than processed foods or sugar or
Mm.
whatnot. So those two things, and maybe just calling my mom every other day,
Mm.
and just kind of getting that reassurance. Just hearing her voice just made me feel at peace.
Mm.
Because I think like my biggest fears was looking like a failure. So
Mm.
my whole life was built on, from even when I was young, I was known as the guy that was going to be successful. I
Mm.
was the guy that was always overachieving. I was the guy that's always aiming for the stars. I just had this reputation. And I got to a point where I was in my life, 25 years old, a huge test,
Mm.
right? Trying to start a multi-million dollar
Mm.
company. And I remember like my conversation with my mom would be like, well, like I just don't want my younger brothers to look at me and see a failure. I
Mm.
don't want my friends to, look at me and see a failure. Like I
Mm.
remember that being very important to me.
And how was school to you? Like, could you sit in the desk?
You know
And
what? I was always good in school,
okay.
actually. Like not like crazy good in school.
Mm.
Like especially high school, I was pretty decent. I wasn't necessarily the guy that was super restless. Like I could sit down and focus. I was pretty good in school, but I always also didn't give it my best shot. Like when I say good, I mean like I'd call myself a B student.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I was like an A plus, definitely not a C, definitely not a D. But I was always just doing the bare minimum to get by.
Right.
I was never, and I called myself an overachiever, but not necessarily in school. It's funny, like reflecting back, I never really saw school as like something that important for me.
Mm,
Like if my parents didn't want me to go to university, I probably wouldn't have gone. But thank God I did, mostly because like I just needed to mature,
mm,
not necessarily for what I learned. Like I didn't even go to my own graduation
mm.
in
And what
university.
did you take in university?
Business.
Okay.
Yeah, I did take business. My parents tried to force me into engineering, and then it's like a thing with Arab immigrants, right? Like they either want you to be a doctor or an engineer, and it's just like I after months of convincing them, I'm like, you know what? I'll take like the engineering of business, MIS, Management
Mhm.
Information Systems, and then
Okay.
like last second I switched to like international business, the easiest one. So I'm like, you know what? Like I gotta be an entrepreneur. Like these 4 years are gonna just get in my way. Like I need to get them done and I need to move on with my life. Like, that's kind of my mentality.
And was your friends thinking about entrepreneurship? Like people around you? Like when you were talking to them, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to be a business person, that's my destiny. What were they saying?
Yeah, you know what? I think that was definitely in my friends group. Like we all wanted to be
Mm,
entrepreneurs, and I think it was mostly set between me and my other buddy always pushing that, and
mm,
then everybody else kind of like wanted to be a part of that.
mm,
So we always had this friends group that always wanted to be entrepreneurs, and a lot of our hangout sessions would be like talking about ideas and so forth. I remember that, but yeah, no, we've always grown up because we were just a bunch of kids that didn't have money, sons of immigrants,
mm,
grew up in subsidized housing. It's
mm,
the only real dream you can really have,
mm.
right?
And then when you had the first $50,000, like where did you get at that time? Probably a lot of money to you.
Hmm.
Where did you get that money, and like how did you get started?
Yeah, so it was a student travel business. So I was like one of their top sales guys. I was
So
making like
sick.
100 grand a year in your early 20s, like 16 years ago. Like it was a big deal.
Yeah.
But I also had like side businesses. I wouldn't really call them full out
Mm,
businesses. Like I used to do proms and after proms, a lot of event planning.
mm,
So, you'd make a couple $1,000s a night throwing an event. You do that, a couple of times a month, and next thing you know, you're making $5,000-6,000 in your early 20s. Cash is a big deal
So
16
you
years ago.
created this nest egg, a
Yeah.
little nest egg, to start
Yeah.
the business.
Yeah. I mean, I luckily realized really early on that
Because
I
you
needed
couldn't,
money,
right? You couldn't rely on your parents. Like
you
your
know?
parents was not the bank to get
Yeah.
started. It was you.
Yeah. And even then, like my parents don't like like, my parents come from like war torn countries, and when you come from that kind of background, you don't necessarily look to flourish, you look for stability.
Mm,
So like the dream for my mom for me was to work in the government.
right.
Like it was like it's like it's like a big thing. It's
Yeah.
it's seen as like high status, very consistent, good money, and it is. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean that's another funny story too. Which is just to appease my mom. Like I put out a few resumes to the government, and and sure enough, like I'm like, okay, what are like the cool departments of the government that I might entertain?
Mm.
So I ended up applying for CSIS.
Did you get it?
No, I didn't get in, but I had some interesting interviews.
Okay.
Like one of my interviews, they told me to meet them at what was it, Eastside Mario's. Show up to Eastside Mario's at this time and make sure you have ID. I show up to Eastside Mario's. Somebody comes up to me and they're like, "Are you Ferriss Elsabbagh?" I'm like, "Yeah, show me your ID." They take my ID and they're like, "Get in that car, get in the driver's seat." And and they point to a car across from me, and they're like, "When you see that car start moving, start following them, and start giving directions as if like you had a microphone attached to you as you're driving." So that was pretty interesting, but obviously I did pretty bad because they called me afterwards. Because after that, then I had to follow a person inside Saint Laurent Mall, and like I'm pretty sure I was like giggling as I was following them. Like you're not expecting it, you don't know you're gonna do it. I didn't prep for it, and I was a kid too. I was like 23 years old, like.
Yeah.
I'm not following people for a living or anything. So that was really interesting. But yeah, so
So your parents didn't understand your ambition to be an entrepreneur.
no, my mom was really worried for me, but
Mm,
luckily she didn't stop me. And I was just like, "No, mom, I got this. Don't worry about it." Like, and it's funny because sometimes I talk to my mom. She's like, "You know what? Like, out of all your brothers, I was always worried for you the most."
mm,
And it's funny because it turns out I'm now the least
mm,
person she has to
mm,
worry about. My brothers are pretty successful too, but um, because I was always a good kid, good in school, but I hung out with bad people, and
mm,
they're doing some dumb stuff here and there, whether it's stealing in a mall, or I
mm,
mean, once when I was 13, I stole my parents' car
mm.
and I crashed it. But So no, they weren't really for it, but they didn't really stop. My dad never really cared. He's like, go do whatever you want. But my mom was just like, really worried. But she's always kind of like that type.
So when did you start saying or seeing to yourself like, oh shit, like this is a real business. I'm getting real clients. I'm pushing the product. Like, was it after the first 6 months? Like, did you know right away, or is it like a year, 2, 3 years later? Like,
Yeah, you know what? Like, I think that there was like different times in the business of me really understanding what it was and what it could be. And I mean, my first early indicators, I remember, I think I did take a picture. I still have it of like the first check that had like 100,000 on it, and it was like such a huge deal. I was like, look, like I took a picture of it, and that was within our first year. And I remember with our first couple years, I remember it being like, wow, like this is really cool. We're doing a couple hundred grand a month in sales, and like remember feeling really good about it. And I knew that we had something. But let's fast forward like 9, 10 years later,
mm,
where we're doing $10 million a year at
mm,
that point, and I wasn't really happy with the business in the sense that like, okay, we're doing good in sales, we're making good money, decent money, but everybody was pissed off.
mm,
My staff was pissed off, a lot of turnover, contractors were pissed off. Like it's kind of embarrassing. Homeowners were pissed off because
mm,
we're always kind of growing. And I was so focused on sales and marketing for a very long time.
mm,
And I didn't look at operations the way maybe I should have a little bit earlier. And I wanted out of the business.
mm,
And so I remember like we even went through the whole shebang of evaluating the business, Deloitte paying them 10K or whatever it was. And I had an offer of like $1 million on the table, walk away. And then I wanted to go like work in the government or something
mm,
because like everybody I knew worked in the government and they had like the best lives, right? Like even my wife, she works in the government.
mm,
Nobody really bugs her. I mean, maybe a little bit, but not like what an entrepreneur has to deal with. And to be honest with you, to be fair, I think it's when my daughters were really young as well too, and that
mm.
like had something to play with it. But luckily, I didn't take the offer. I stayed in the business, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna roll up my sleeves and I'm gonna really figure out operations. But figuring out operations for me wasn't necessarily squeezing more margin or turning over, more revenue faster. It was like when I really understood what was bothering me in the business, it really came down to understanding that we provide construction services, but really we provide construction experiences. I
Mm,
provide an experience to my staff. I provide an experience to my subcontractors. I provide an experience to my clients. And when I really broke it down like that and understanding what everybody needed, and they all go hand in hand, by the way.
mm,
Not like everybody's got to be happy for the others to be happy.
mm,
You can't have, happy clients but have pissed off vendors and staff
mm,
and vice versa. So when I really broke it down like that and I really understood what I had to do to make everybody happy, I mean, that's the simplest way I can kind of
mm,
explain it right now. It's kind of
mm,
obviously more than that. And that's when I really started noticing a huge shift in that my staff turnover went down. My subcontractors started saying really good things about how we're running the company, and we started having more positive reviews than we've ever had, and more referrals and all that kind of stuff. So there's different points of the company where I was just like, okay, we've got something, this is great, and then you kind of go back in the cycle where it's like, okay, we got something, but I'm still not happy.
mm.
It's like, but why am I not happy? And then you just kind of have to go and figure it all out or leave.
Are you like that self-awareness piece of like diving into that? Because some people just bypass that emotion and like, oh, I'm making good money. I'll just grind it out and keep on grinding it out. But you're like, no, this doesn't feel right.
Right.
Like how, like it was just the every day waking up and just like not happy and wanting to change to make that change.
I think that is a good question, right? So it's like I don't know why. I mean, I guess I have an idea why, but it's important for me to have a good name in the community.
Mm,
Like I got two daughters, I got another kid on the way. I want them to grow up in a place where they speak well about their father. And I guess it kind of goes back to me having this reputation for just
mm,
being an overachiever and
mm,
having a good name and a good reputation. Being a leader. I was always, captain of the football team, captain of the basketball team, and, even within my own friend group. And I think it really bothered me to have a bad name. I didn't like that. Like,
Mm.
I don't know. I don't think that there was enough money at that time. It sounds silly, right? Everybody's got a price maybe,
Mhm.
but I don't think it was enough money at that time. And I was making decent money,
Mm.
like I don't even know how much I was making, but like more than your average.
Mm.
And it wasn't enough for me to wake up every day and like be worried. Like, do people think I'm a scam artist? Do people think
Mm.
I'm a thief? Do people think, I'm whatever, something
Mm.
bad?
Mm.
And I wasn't okay with that.
So you started seeing reviews, like there started people posting, talking, that kind of triggered it more?
Yeah, exactly. And I took those things really personal. And it's like sometimes I try to tell myself, like, whenever you're the big dog in the
Mm.
industry, people are always going to kind of criticize you and have something
Right.
to say, right?
Like, I guess, how did you differentiate that with like the actuality of it? Because being the top dog
Yeah,
and people criticizing is just part of the game
right.
versus, hey, I'm not delivering the right service for my customers and
Hmm.
suppliers where that needs to change.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I mean, so as we were growing, as we're learning, we made a lot of mistakes, but we always save face with our clients, right? So if you're my client and you didn't like the experience, I'd give you a goodwill gesture and be like, hey, here's a couple $1,000 back.
Mm.
I'm sorry for
Right.
forgetting about this or that, and so it could be looked at in two different ways. It could be looked at like these guys completely messed up the job, or it could be looked at like, yeah, they made some mistakes, but they made up for it,
Mm.
right? But nobody will ever really know the whole story.
Mm.
All they'll know is, especially when it comes to construction companies, they have such a bad
Yeah.
reputation, right? So it's just always so easy to throw them under the bus.
Yeah. And especially now with social media and like the news,
Right.
like, is that always in your back of your mind? Like, you hear it all over the news all the time.
Well, you know what? Like maybe before, but now, like I know we do such a great job
Mm.
and we
It doesn't-
document everything
Right.
that I'm never really worried.
Mm.
But back in the day when would you get a bad review or something, like yeah, like I took that super personal.
Mm.
And mostly because it's like I know how hard we work
Yeah.
to deliver, right? Like I work in a business where I work in people's homes for many months.
Yeah.
And I hire many people to go in these homes
Right.
and I depend on them to provide a good service so that my client can be happy.
Right.
So sometimes it's hard to control what somebody says or what somebody does
Yeah.
or whatever,
Or how they show up.
or how they show up
Yeah.
or how they don't.
Yeah.
And it was really difficult to figure out. And it still is difficult to do, but we've done a really good job in figuring it out.
So after the 10 years of you might have sold it and then you ended up rolling up your sleeves, then you put your CEO hat on and took care of operations and built a better experience. And I love that. I mean, people don't think about experiences. They think about just the operations,
Right.
where it is an experience, a feeling for the customer and everyone else.
Mhm.
And that goes a lot further than just like whenever you're a business owner, everyone builds a customer journey, but no one builds the feelings around that customer journey that you should really focus on. So after you're in the weeds with that, what is the last 6 years, I guess? How has your company evolved? Growing, you talked about an acquisition. Tell me a little bit about like the most recent times of your business.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of interesting things happened after that 10 years. That was right about 2019, 2020. I made that decision. I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna roll up my sleeves. Then COVID happened.
Yeah.
Right, and that was an interesting time,
Yeah.
right? Because obviously COVID,
Yeah.
but specifically what happened to that market was our business doubled, like every other
Mhm.
construction company.
Right.
So it turned out to be a fantastic decision looking back. Because
Mhm.
imagine I sold and then
Mhm.
COVID happened, everybody else is booming. I would have been like
Kicking
kicking myself,
Yeah.
right? So business started booming, like doubled, literally went from 10 million to 20 million dollars, and we're making pretty good money. By that time, I've gone through the trial and error of getting the right people on the bus and getting the wrong people off the bus, generally speaking. Yeah, about that time, because a lot of those guys from that time are still with me today,
Mm.
right? So a lot of what we do, because we're really a service company, so I really depend on my people, and I was able to now we're 11, 12 years in, really understand what kind of people I need
Mm,
for what kind of positions. Because now I'm almost like a coach,
mm,
really understanding the talent that I need, really understanding their specific skill sets, and then putting them in positions to succeed,
mm,
and aligning what the company needs with their own personal ambitions.
mm,
And so I was really able to understand that. And then, basically from that time till, like, let's say last year, we were doing really good, consistent revenues, consistent net profit. And part of the story, and I didn't really give you guys at first, but like when we first started, we were super ambitious and we launched in Ottawa, Toronto, Vancouver, and Calgary.
mm.
Two of those cities didn't work out, not because of sales and marketing, because we're just still young trying to understand business, so we closed down. So fast forward now to, like, let's say last year, we decided, you know what, we're going to grow through acquisition instead of doing it the startup way. It's just slower doing it the startup way.
And when you're in all these multiple cities, are you going to Calgary, Vancouver, all like,
Not all the time. I was in Vancouver. My main partner was in Ottawa, and then we had some staff in between Toronto and Calgary, and we went a couple of times, mostly just for fun. But because,
mm,
like, what we brought to the table was sales and marketing,
mm,
and we were just hoping that we put people in place and they'd figure everything else out later. And then we learned really quickly, like,
it doesn't work that way.
doesn't work that way, and like hard lessons in some cases. But it's okay because it made us tougher and made us really understand, okay, no, you know what, like, we need to understand financial management really well. We
Mm.
need to understand operation. We need to understand all these other aspects of the business, and it's not just sales and marketing.
Are you happy you went through that experience? Or like in hindsight, would you have not? Like, because like that's the thing with entrepreneurship. We have so many blind spots too.
hmm
We're so ambitious. Like, I want to take over Canada.
yeah,
And then like you realize operationally, logistically, the business is a 10-year-old
mhm,
and you're trying to be a 40-year-old,
right,
kind of analogy where
right.
you jump too fast because the blind spots are too big. Um, yeah.
You know what? Like, when that stuff was happening, we were still young. No, I wasn't married, didn't have kids, like really didn't have anything better to do.
Or
To be
we're
honest,
like,
or at least nothing productive that
yeah.
was better to do. So, honestly, I can't say I have any regrets. Um, Everything was part of the learning journey. I made a lot of mistakes. I could easily say, maybe I regret some of those mistakes, but maybe I needed to make some of those mistakes at
Yeah.
the same time. I don't know, right?
And why I'm saying that is my first business from it took 10 years for the eggs that I wanted. Now this business, instead of just doing stuff, I'm actually thinking about it.
hmm
And like I'm trying to reduce that time, 10 years. How can I get from zero to X amount of million in 3 years
Right,
by thinking versus just doing?
right,
Because I got myself into so much trouble of like, I'm going to start this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Maybe it's through nervous anxiety or whatever it is,
right.
pushing the envelope, but realize like I did it because of an unknown emotion versus like actually thinking like that wasn't a smart move. And
Right,
like now I'm maturing and maybe I'm thinking too much now.
right.
So I'm trying to find the balance of like going, but thinking as well.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, you can't overthink it and you got to do it because you don't know until you actually do
that's it. You got to take those steps forward
it. Yeah.
because the path will become a little bit more clearer when you're 3, 4 steps in, as opposed to step
And you
zero.
can navigate
Navigate
way better.
100%.
So you guys currently now are in Vancouver. So talk about the acquisition. So you
Yeah.
went from organic growth to, hey, let's buy an existing company and put our infrastructure on it.
That's it. Yeah. So we kind of illustrated to ourselves the kind of company we're looking for. Because when you're talking about like renovations or design build, like, you can have a mix and match of different varieties of what the business model looks like. So we really put down on paper of what exact kind of business that we're looking for, which is very similar to what we have.
Mm,
And we went on a kind of a journey of prospecting um, various companies for acquisition, where we did our own outreach.
mm,
We reached out to maybe 1,000 companies, and we got in front of like a couple of hundred. And then I stepped into maybe about 30 meetings to just really know which company that we're looking for. And we came across this company, and it was a pretty good company, and our investment thesis was, they focus on small jobs. We know how to market the bigger ones. They have a kind of a complacent sales culture, and we're pretty tough sales culture. So we knew that we can grow this business, and we had a good financing partner at the table as well too.
And who did you worked with BDC?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
that experience was good?
yeah. It was really good because the guy that we brought on to at the very early stage that helped with the prospecting and acquisition and dealing with the financial structure was a former BDC employment,
Mm.
young management consultant type that was super smart, really detail oriented, but really ambitious.
Mm.
Wanted something more than just being a consultant. So
Mm.
we brought him to the table. He kind of quarterbacked everything.
So you recommend going down that route for acquisition if you're a business owner?
I would say so. Worked out really well for me. I mean, I could see how it could not work out
Yeah.
for certain people, but this guy that we brought on, we built a bit of a relationship with him. Probably 2 years prior, and he always kept coming back to us. So I just felt like that kind of hunger,
Yeah.
right? Like
Right.
I feel like I really like hungry people.
Mm.
I can relate a lot to
Mm.
them, and there's a lot of non-hungry people.
Yeah.
Like people who think that they're hungry
Yeah.
and are just not ready to give it what it takes. If you've got something that's really good on the table here, it just needs a lot of hard work, but it's something really good.
Mm.
Like in my books, it's like, I'll do whatever I got to do.
Yeah.
But not a lot of people think like that.
Why?
Not a lot of people. I think that a lot of people are comfortable. I think that a lot of people, and I can't even tell you why. I know why. I can't even relate with these kind of
Mm.
people. I think the only thing that comes to mind is that they're just too comfortable. They're not
Mm.
ready to put in the pain.
Mm.
It's funny. One of my friends tells me, he's like, man, you just like everything hard,
Mm.
right? Like when I'm at the gym, I like to push myself.
Mm.
When I'm at work, generally speaking, I like to push. I always like to push myself because I fear that one day things are going to get really hard.
Mm.
And I don't want to be in a position where I'm not ready to take it on.
Mm.
I always want to be ready. We're both parents. We know that, man, being a father could easily, maybe even be harder than entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like, I just want to be ready for all the hard parts of life. So that's just who I am.
It's funny you say that because that resonates with me a lot. Discipline, I always think about discipline. Like, are you going to have that drink? Are you going to
Yeah.
have that dessert? Are you going to have, like, those are small things, but in business, it gets blown up where are you going to show up on a job site at 9 a.m. or are you going to do it at 10 a.m.? Like, all those little steps develop the mental capacity to take on the bigger things.
That's it.
And when I was running my business, let's say my payroll was 200 grand every 2 weeks. That's what I was worried about. And that was like the pain. Once I sold it, I didn't have that. Then it was like the little things were getting to me. And I'm like, why is me paying $200 for something so small
Yeah.
getting to me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I didn't have that bigger pain. And all the small things kind of got pushed outside.
Right.
Right. So like the growth mindset and pushing yourself to that next level or wanting the growth actually minimizes all the small things in your life
Right.
so that you focus on the big thing.
That's it. Yeah.
And it was so evident when I sold my business. I'm like, why am I worrying about the stupidest stuff? So when you say comfort, yeah, I think a lot of people live in comfort and the pain is the same pain, but just smaller. And they
Right.
feel it the same way.
That's it.
Well, why not push it? So you're now acquisition, building a business. What are you guys at currently? Like you have staff now all across Canada?
Yeah, we're in Ottawa,
Coast.
we're in Halifax, we're in Vancouver. I could go crazy in acquisition mode, but I'm trying to do a little bit of a slow and steady approach. I just want to really prove it out with Halifax, and you know what? Like, I don't want to fall hard, go fast, fall hard. And I'm very comfortable with where we're at right now. It's funny, we're just talking about comfort, right? But like it's a different kind of comfort,
Yeah.
right? We're still pushing really
Yeah.
hard, and we're really looking to grow the business here in Ottawa, especially with the new kind of zoning changes. It poses actually a huge opportunity for us to go from 20 million to like 30 to 40, and we're tracking for close to 30 this year. So, and because I mean, apart from all that too, we do real estate development, right? Like we're building our own multi units, and And then I got to find a time to be a dad,
Yeah.
right? Like to be, and I love being a dad, honestly, more than being an entrepreneur right
Mhm.
now, right? And I think it's because I finally got, being an entrepreneur was always a means of me reaching a certain level of security.
Yeah.
You know, I reached a certain level of security, and now I'm starting to look at different other areas. But then at the same time, it's like, okay, like I'm a competitive guy.
Mm.
I know I can do more.
Mm.
So that still fuels me a little bit, but it's not the same kind of like hunger of like when I was 25 and I was just like, do or die.
Right.
Because it's not do or die anymore for
Right.
me. But now it's more of like a game, you know. Love sports. I'm a competitive guy, and I know I could do more. So, yeah. So we're looking to grow through acquisition. We're gonna we're building like a 24 unit building for ourselves right now. Big pain in the butt, but we're gonna do it and we're gonna finish it. And we got some other real estate, but um,
Let's talk about zoning.
yeah.
What's going on with zoning in Ottawa?
So the city of Ottawa wants to increase density, like the quick summary, and essentially every property in Ottawa, more or less, can become a multi-unit. So that poses as a great opportunity for OGC because we're in a perfect position to be able to deliver a quick turnkey solution to clients in a very simple way for something that's very complex. So you know, we're working with a numerous amount of investors who are looking to build multi units, and we're providing them great service. And you know, the interesting thing is you know, I do about 150 projects a year. For me to double the business from the multi unit side,
Mm.
I just have to basically add 10 more projects,
Mm.
which is really interesting outlook, right? It's like less than 10% more projects can give me 100%
Mm.
more revenue.
Mm.
So that's kind of like where I'm looking at right now, like path of least resistance, path of least brain damage, if you will. Like, how can I do all this without really pulling all my hair or risking the house, if you will, you know?
Now, multi-res, you said that you could put essentially a multi-res on any property per se. 4 unit, 6 unit, 8 unit, 10 unit, 12 unit, like
All the above, you know, in some cases more, but you'd probably want to stay under 12 units because you avoid this lengthy, pricey, annoying process called site plan control.
and what's the cost of that versus under 12 unit? Like if I wanted a 14 unit versus a 12 unit.
Yeah, I mean, you'd probably be spending you know, maybe 50 to $100,000 more and maybe an extra year or two at time. So it's better now than it was a few years ago because of certain laws have passed that make it faster or are supposed to in theory. And you're not necessarily getting that return from two more extra units, right?
So are a lot of people in neighborhoods like, do you need a certain width of house, length of house, like for a lot, sorry? Like is there a certain density?
Generally speaking, but like for example, I just finished an 8 unit on a 33-foot wide lot. So I mean, I mean, I'm sure some lots are smaller than that, but most lots are bigger than that. So generally speaking, and it doesn't always have to be like a tear down and start fresh. Like you can have a small lot and have an existing home on there. Maybe build an addition off the back with like 6 or 8 units in that addition. So it could be something as simple as that.
So if you have a house and you have a big backyard, you can also build a 6 unit in the back.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a big backyard. Most likely, it could be even just a standard one that's 100 feet deep.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you're seeing the creativeness of lots right now.
Tons of creativity right now. You know, we're building, you know, what's supposed to be an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit, which should be just like, you know, something really small in this one project. It's like bigger than the main home, you know, and it's essentially making a whole new home, like, you know, 2,500, 3,000 square feet. But that ADU is really a new home for the daughter of this guy that owns this whole property that's completely paid off. So it actually provides a great avenue for whether it's adult children that can't afford their own home, but their parents' home is paid off,
Right.
or it could be a great opportunity for elderly who have retired, don't need their big home anymore. They can sell it. They can go build an ADU or a mini home in their kids' backyard. So
What's in so what are the
ADU, accessory dwelling unit.
okay, so what
Yeah.
is that?
It's basically like an apartment attached to the house.
Okay.
Yeah, an accessory dwelling unit. So basement apartments are called SDUs, secondary dwelling units.
Okay.
It's basically the same thing, except just not in the backyard.
Okay.
Sorry, not in the basement.
So those are the coach houses?
So a coach house is technically that, but not attached.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so these ones are attached to the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because coach homes have a certain size restriction. So a bit of a loophole is, okay, we'll just attach it to the main home. Sometimes it's just a simple little breezeway, sometimes. But
And-
the city's catching on to that.
And what's the process for, like, do they call you and say, hey, I have this extra land, what could we do with it? Or
Yeah.
what?
So
What are they?
depending on how much they know, if they know nothing, let's say, they'll engage us for a feasibility study where we'll do like a quick site plan. We'll have some quick discussions with the city based on assumptions and our thoughts and our interpretations of the different bylaws. And we'll do some really quick financial modeling for them to just see if it's feasible or not, right? So we'll do some like quick preliminary work, couple $1,000. If they want to move past that, then they engage with us on architectural and engineering work. And then after that's done, they want to proceed. The next step is they hire us for the actual construction. So a bit of a 3-step process.
And what, from a multi-res, what are you seeing, like recommend 12 units type of thing, like going max out on a 12 unit if you can, from a numbers perspective? Like what numbers are making sense right now?
Yeah, so 8 unit, 10 unit, 12 units are all making sense. Depends on a few things. Some investors don't have an appetite for more for highest and best use is what we call it, right? Some of them are like, 12 units, fantastic, looks great. But you know what? I'm a little bit more comfortable with the 8 unit. That's completely fine. It's all up to appetite. But in terms of like what we're seeing right now is if you can acquire a lot for about 400 or 500K and put minimum 8 to 10 units, depending on where and depending on the size,
Right.
though that's the sweet spot. It's really coming down to your location because that determines how much you can rent the units for, and also the size of the units. But that's what we're finding the sweet spot. Why is it a sweet spot? Because what we try to do is if we can return half or most of the capital that our client put into the project on refinance, we consider that a win, right? So like, imagine you come to me and we're like, look, yeah, that's great. You got some equity. That's fine. You're going to need about 400K cash for A, B, C, D. If we could do the whole project, you refi it and you get 300K back and you've only put 100K into your project, we consider that a win. Right? So, because now you've got extra built-in equity and you can achieve the goals that you tried to achieve, whether it's, you wanted to live, from a net cash flow positive perspective and get $100,000 or $300,000 back, then that's kind of a win.
So let's say my lot size is 500,000. It's 40 width. I want to build a 10 unit.
Yeah.
That would be like, oh, that the numbers right there might make sense. Let's proceed to the next round.
Yeah, exactly. So the high level numbers would probably be, it cost you about 2.5 million. Okay. Total.
For a 10 unit?
Yeah. It'd probably be worth about 3 to 3.5, depending on the unit mix. And you'd probably should be able to, depending on the valuation, refi close to that 2.5. Which means whatever cash that you put in as part of that 2.5, you get it back.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a good business model.
Yeah, it's not bad, right?
Because you just made $1 million in.
Yeah, assuming 2.5 and 3.5. Yeah.
Assuming that.
Yeah.
So
But even if you made 5, like, it's still not bad, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then they would outsource it to you. You would do all the operations, and the investors really just signing the check and taking the chance.
Yeah, exactly. And their personal guarantee.
Because so your company would handle A to Z.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Where they're just involved from a approval standpoint.
Exactly. Yeah.
Approve the plans, approve this, approve that.
That's it.
And are a lot of investors, and then the CMHC,
yeah,
they have a financing thing around that.
Yeah, it's called MLI Select. It's it's a bit of it's rigorous, and they keep adding more and more and more over the years of all the stuff they'd like to see. It's pretty good. It's good, but sometimes I wonder if just the conventional route is a little bit better because there's huge application fees with CMHC that they bake into the loan. It's not coming out of your pocket. But still, like if you could save 100 grand, why not?
We were talking about neighborhoods, and while you're going for the application process, do the neighbors complain that there's a 12 unit going next to their 3,000 square foot house? Like,
I'm sure there's something happening there because who would be happy, right?
yeah,
With a 12 unit coming up. But the thing is as long as you're within bylaws, they can't complain.
yeah.
Right? The only time they really have an ability to complain is if you're asking for special permissions outside of the bylaws. So, for example, they have a process called like a minor variance or a variance process, where, as an example, like let's say your side setback is 1 meter, but you want to build within that 1 meter, so you're asking for relief of like a half meter, and so you got to go through specific approvals, and the community has a say when it comes to that. But if you're following the bylaws to a T, um, nobody's really able to dispute that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, that process, how long does it take?
The
Let's say there's no variances.
getting a permit.
Yeah.
Uh, so the consultant work, so you got civil engineering, you've got structural engineering, you got all these engineers and all these consultants. Typically in the architectural work, that should be about 2 to 3 months, and then approvals are probably another 2 months. So you can probably get a permit for a multi-unit within 6 months.
And then from when you get it approved to the finished build, how long does that usually take?
It's about a year. Yeah.
Okay. So a year and a half to
Yeah.
comfortably.
Yeah. Year and a half to get a multi-unit up.
And are people still doing duplexes and triplexes, or they're just going higher now based on the numbers?
Some people are because especially like in areas where you're close to like universities or colleges, what they're doing is they're building them as triplexes, but putting a lot of bedrooms in each of the units. So what happens there, why they would do that as opposed to just like single unit, like let's say a 10 unit instead of a 3 unit, is that it's cheaper in development fees. So you're paying development fees for like 3 units instead of 10, and less fire rating requirements between units and common areas, which allows you to provide more buildable living square foot.
Right.
Yeah.
Because every unit has to be.
Yeah, it's got fire rating items, right?
Right.
Whether it's the double drywall or the double walls or certain insulation requirements or whatever.
And are you seeing the labor costs after COVID steady?
It's definitely softened.
Softened.
For sure, it's softened. Actually this past year, it's funny, for the first time ever, contractors are calling me. I'm like, I haven't heard from you guys in 6 years. Like the subcontractors, the plumbers, electricians. These guys were so busy the last 6 years. You couldn't get a hold of them, let alone them calling you.
Right.
As the owner of a general contracting company. But now they're starting to call me. So, it's
Why is that?
because that the market's soft a little bit. They're looking for a little bit more work, and maybe over the years they've ramped up their overhead and their operations because of all the demand, and now they're trying to keep that steady. Maybe they've got a lot of good guys. They want to keep the business steady, so they're reaching out. But why do I maybe think the market is softened? Especially at the beginning of this year, I was a little bit nervous, to be honest. Although it's looking like our biggest year yet. City of Ottawa and people in Ottawa are generally very sensitive to news, right? Like something bad going on in the world, and they just kind of like want to, sit steady and see what's going on before they start spending, right? Donald Trump was going crazy with his tariff wars, this situation in Iran, and the free trade agreements, and a lot of what's happening with inflation and gas prices. So people are a little bit nervous, especially at the beginning of the year. But I think people in Ottawa have a lot of disposable income.
Yeah.
I think people in Ottawa actually have a lot more money than
They portray themselves.
Because I'm seeing people buy $4 or $5 million homes and want to spend $2 million on renovations just because, even though they'll never get that money back.
Right.
Like these kind of people do exist in Ottawa. People building $10 million homes in Rideau Forest and whatnot.
Right. It's interesting. Yeah, it's a super not flashy, but a lot of disposable income in Ottawa that people don't really see, but it's there. And I think being an entrepreneur in Ottawa, servicing consumers, that have disposable income makes us very, very useful.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting where the market is going. And you talk about the trades and 6 years of not being able to get a hold of them, and now you're able to get a hold of them. I mean, I did a renovation the one thing I was going to say is I have a 5 unit in Lower Town, Ottawa. Had it since 2017. This is the first time. Usually rents to Ottawa U students, student more rentals.
Yep.
First time in 9 years that it's not rented right away.
Wow.
It's been vacant for 3 months now.
Yeah, and that's why I find it surprising that City of Ottawa and the Canadian government's always pushing more units, more units, more units. Because I've seen that as well too, being a landlord. It's just like the demand's not there like you think it's there, or like what the government's portraying as the need. Because people have got options; they're negotiating. And I hear that a lot, even from my real estate agent buddies. They're just like, a lot of units are sitting on the market.
And I'm super scared to rent it to anyone too, because of all the legalities around it.
Right.
So that's another thing. It's like, I won't accept just the person. We're doing a full vet, because once you get someone in,
that's it. Your hands are tied.
Your hands are absolutely tied.
That's it. And
I've had so many bad experiences.
There's professional scammers out there that have learned the ins and outs of being able to scam landlords. And it could be pretty nasty. So that's why, I mean, like, my personal ambitions after being an entrepreneur was like, you know what, I'm going to build a really good real estate portfolio. But now, the last couple of years, I'm just like, I don't think real estate's it, to be honest with you.
Why?
Very much exactly because of what you mentioned. Like, people can scam you really easily, and the government's on their side. Because under the umbrella of just like human rights, which could or could not be true. I'm not really sure, to be honest.
Right.
And I think that I don't like that the investment and the cash or the equity is just not very liquid. It's not really movable, right? So I think I've realized that although business is way riskier, I think it's the best investment, generally speaking.
Into yourself, into your operations.
In general. Now, look, one thing I realized, I'm not a good investor. I'm a really good entrepreneur, not a good investor. So I'm not really sure exactly. I mean, I worked with a hedge fund last year that gave me 80% return. Wow. And I was like, this is crazy. I didn't do anything. Right. My money almost doubled.
Right.
So you start seeing stuff like that. But like,
so you're seeing your operating company grow at 20%, where your real estate portfolio is growing at 5%.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really figured out the exact numbers of what that looks like, but I was just like, I'm
like that too.
Yeah.
Because I have real estate, I have investments, and I have myself. And I'm like, do I put that dollar into a stock, or into real estate, or into myself?
Right.
And 5 years ago, I would have probably diversified and put it, and I did do that.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm putting it all in myself, and the learning and everything, so that I can propel my knowledge to then propel my business.
That's it.
And that's kind of the mindset.
I think that's where I'm at right now, right? Like, I think I've got enough, like, a lot of what I've been building is for my kids. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, there's enough there to take care of them, to at least help them out, let's say, if they need it. Now it's like, okay, like, let me put that back into myself. Let me be in a little bit more control. Let me take a little bit more risk as well.
Only in Canada? Do you ever break through the States, or want to break through the States?
Yeah, I invested a lot in Florida in real estate.
Okay.
That one was fantastic because my father-in-law was the A to Z guy. Like, he acquired them, he ran them, he did everything, and it was very turnkey for me. And did really well there too. Like, the timing was fantastic. So it did really well there. I would love to be in the States. It's just I'm not sure how yet, but I've got a few things in mind. Not really something super serious, but I definitely see myself being in the States within the next 6 years, though.
Full time?
I think so.
Why?
Well, mostly, to be honest with you, like, I mean, we talked about this a little bit before we started. Like, I want my daughters to have sports scholarships, and I want to be with them wherever they go. Like, I mean, I don't have to live with them, but like I want to be there to support them and kind of like live that dream through them too, you know?
Because there's a lot of entrepreneurs moving to the States
Yeah.
for more opportunities potentially.
Right.
Is that an angle, or is it more just your kids?
Mostly the kids, but yeah, the States does have way more incentives for entrepreneurs. I mean, especially a place like Florida, like,
Yeah.
you know, like no state tax and just I feel like I pay so much in taxes here.
Yeah.
It's just like so much in taxes. Like, you know, a combined between personal and business paid like something like over $1 million in taxes.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, we worked so hard
Yeah.
to get that money and it just disappears. And I don't necessarily see, you know, I mean, like, look, if everybody was getting great healthcare and
Yeah.
great public transportation and things were good, like I think I'd be a little bit okay with it.
Yeah.
But we're not. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on with our healthcare.
Yeah.
You know, I'm actually the guy that, you know, luckily I haven't had to do it too much, but I'm the guy that's going over to Quebec to get an MRI if we need to and
Yeah.
pay for it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I just registered with La Vie,
right.
private healthcare.
Yeah.
My pediatrician, so we just had our third kid. My pediatrician retired. Couldn't get a hold of him.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have any referrals or anyone, couldn't get a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunate that I can go private.
Right.
But if I couldn't, I now have 3 little kids that don't have a family
It's insane.
doctor. And I'm just like, yeah, I just paid X amount of dollars in taxes, and all the small things are going, or all the big things are going away. So like,
Right.
where's that money going?
Right. That's it. And then you go to the hospitals in the US and like, you know, we go to Florida a lot. And one of my youngest or my oldest we had to take her to the doctor there when we were visiting once. And like the hospitals are clean and the service is
Yeah.
great and it's fast and it's just a complete different experience than being in a hospital in Canada, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So it's just like I really think that we need to have a 2-tier system. You know, have the public and everybody needs access. I definitely agree with that, but you should have a private tier where those who are capable can go take advantage, because that will also take pressure off of the public system.
Yeah.
And hopefully, when it's private, generally it's run by entrepreneurs and the experiences are better and maybe a little bit more competitive. So the doctors and nurses maybe get paid a little bit more. I'm not really sure. Maybe you can retain a little bit more talent, because I'm not sure what's going on there. I haven't looked into it too deep, but there is a problem. And generally, I like to think that entrepreneurs can fix these kind of systemic problems, right?
And regulations in the last 10 years, have they increased significantly for building?
Regulations are always increasing from a perspective of like, you could just imagine when conflicts happen, maybe the city is financially or legally liable, so they're always kind of like building on those consequences through regulation, right? So we're always finding that you know, whether it's bylaws or health and safety items, there are always new things coming up every year.
Like 6 years ago or 10 years ago, when you started, did it take 6 months to get an approval to build a multi-res?
Well, nobody was really building multi-reses back then, to be honest with
Or
you.
single family houses, or like, has there been a lot more red tape now than, or it's been the same, just add-ons to it?
You know what? That's a good question. Right now, it might be a little bit trickier because we're in this weird time where we have 2 zoning bylaws, the old and the new, and they're both intact because they're going through a transition period. So, and I know that the city hired a lot of new planners, and there's always a learning curve whenever you're new. So not only do you have to navigate 2 different zoning bylaws, and but you also have a lot of new staff over there as well too, and whatnot. So luckily, you know what, we've got a great team, and the city likes dealing with us because we're
Been there, done that.
and we're on it,
Yeah.
right? Like we're referencing specific code.
Right.
We're giving them. We're not throwing stuff at them and be like, what does this mean? You know what I mean? Like we're coming at them from a place of like knowledge as opposed to like a place of ignorance.
Right.
So they like dealing with us. They hate dealing with people who are just like asking a lot of questions and just don't understand basic terminology of urban planning, right? Like you can imagine if I'm asking you a bunch of accounting questions, but not really understanding what you're saying back to me,
Right.
right?
You're probably teaching them.
Yeah. We were doing a lot of that. Actually.
Yeah.
We were doing a lot of that. Like I remember going through site plan control on a development project because like generally speaking, I mean this is for everybody, but let's just single out civil servants for now. Um, Nobody really wants to do when you're just an employee, nobody really wants to do the pre-work of like learning all the stuff coming down the pipeline, right? They're like, hey, you know what? When it comes down the pipeline, gets approved, then I'll figure it out. So when the official plan was coming out, and it was literally saying the opposite of what was in the existing official plan. So, the old plan said we need more parking. The new plan said we need less parking. And like I was just kind of like coaching them on these kind of items. Like they're bugging me about needing more parking space. I'm like, the official plan just got approved. Like I should be able to reduce my parking. She's like, that's not possible, and I'll tell her where it says that in the official plan, and she would just be mind boggled, like, I can't believe the city's doing this. I'm like, yeah, but this is what's happening,
Are you leveraging AI like ChatGPT and Claude for any of that stuff, like internally?
Yeah. So I like to pride my organization as always being like innovative. So early on it was digital marketing, and now I'm finding this paradigm shift in AI, and so we're leveraging it all throughout our organization, whether it's on the sales side and being able to, we were talking about this earlier, equip my salespeople with an AI sales coach that can tell them how they can position things differently or remind them on their deliverables, or whether it's on marketing and being able to pump out, significant amount of content like never before, right? Like before I used to have to hire a video crew and my own staff and prep them with kind of a script, and it was a whole day. Now I don't need anybody, right? Or whether it's being able to use we use Google Workspace, so I use a lot of Gemini at least.
Can you do architectural plans with it yet, or like design work, or is it not there yet?
You could definitely do renders.
Okay.
Definitely renders and interior design. Architecture, yes, but we haven't gotten that far. I know that there's a company that just maybe signed up to YCOM called Drafted that are doing some interesting things. So, but like I have to talk to my architectural team, but no, they're not. But from understanding zoning bylaws, because the zoning document is like 100 pages, right? So you can just throw it into Gemini, just ask it the questions that you need, right? So just saving that kind of time,
right. Where do you see Ottawa in the next 5 to 10 years? Like multi-res to a point where we have too many?
I guess that's what not just the city of Ottawa, but I guess that's what the federal government of Canada wants, right? Because they see that affordable housing is going to be fixed by bringing a lot of housing to the market. And it looks like that's what they want to do. Although, we just touched on it not long ago that we already see it happening. So I'm starting to wonder, like, why do they keep pushing that? Is it because they want to crank the taps and flood immigration again? Because I mean, it wasn't that long ago. What was it, like 3 years ago? They let in 1 million immigrants or something crazy like that. And then they just stopped all of a sudden because maybe they realized that infrastructure wasn't ready for it. So are they trying to prep the infrastructure for that? Is that what's happening? So I'm not really sure. I think so. I think that they want to, I think I saw earlier today, like for the first time ever, 3 straight quarters of declining Canadian population or something. So I think that they want to build up our infrastructure. They want to make housing more affordable, and they want to open up the immigration tap again. But it's like, man, we got so many other problems we got to fix first, not just housing.
And I guess the investors that you're working with, are they selling, or is it all just rental properties?
Mostly rental, they're holding. Yeah, actually, one guy, I did see that he was trying to sell but didn't sell. I don't know what happened with that.
Yeah, but they're mainly buying them, getting them from themselves for renting.
Yeah.
For the population.
That's it, yeah. And, if they're able to pull out most of their cash and be a little bit net cash flow positive, then
Right.
they're
Then the
happy.
numbers make sense.
Yeah. I mean, like going back to Ottawa being a conservative city, people, and they might have a couple hundred grand in the bank. They don't really see themselves taking wild risk.
Mm.
And they see these kind of investments as like probably the safest.
So are you seeing civil servants or individuals doing these builds versus like entrepreneurs, investors, developers?
Um,
Like, is it a wide range of your
it's a wide range. There's some
Uh,
civil servants in there, right? Because if their property's paid off, it's worth 700, 800K, and they've got like 200K in the bank or whatever. They can probably just use that 200K to fund the whole project and get that 200K back,
yeah.
right? So it's generally always been seen as a safe investment, and so yeah, we're seeing both. The entrepreneurs, the guys in the tech spaces, and civil servants. Civil servants, can make really good money, right?
Yeah.
Like if they're both directors in the government making 150 grand each, now you got 300K household income. That's not too bad,
And the thing is too, talk about tax. I mean, being a T4 slip is probably the worst scenario in Canada
right?
because there's no ways around what you're going to be taxed at.
Right.
Versus at least in the corporation, there's flexibility there,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
which plays in our advantage a little bit.
That's right.
And a lot of people don't talk about like a 12 unit property paid off. Let's just say 10 unit property paid off. Average rent is $2,500, let's say, for a 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
You're looking at what? So 25 times 10,
Yeah. 25
25
grand.
a month in reoccurring revenue. Like, you don't necessarily at this point need 100 units. You just
No.
need one unit that has 8 to 10 units on it that's paid off. That could be your pension for life.
That's it. Now, assuming everybody's in a position to be able to pay it off,
Yeah.
but even call it 2.5 million, and you're making 25 grand a month. I mean, you're not making, because you're probably keeping 30% is probably go to net operating expenses. So say 70% of that 25 grand. So you're talking about, call it, I don't know, 17 grand a month.
Yeah.
So the question is that 17 grand a month is about almost 200K a year. So is that 200K a year, assuming you paid off the 2.5? Is that a good return on the 2.5?
Right.
Sounds like it, right?
Well, plus you're getting appreciation of the property.
Plus the appreciation.
Right.
So
you get an extra 5 to 7% there. Plus,
right. Yeah, the whatever it is that, yeah. So you're getting upside on depreciation. You're getting about 7 to 8% return on your money. I mean, and that money can fund your whole retirement.
Yeah. Amazing conversation. Is there anything I missed about your story or about, inspiring an entrepreneur, a small business owner, someone that maybe is just graduating university now and has that fire in them to start their business? Anything around that you can touch on?
I see a bunch of the young guys at the gym. We obviously met at the gym, and I have some interesting conversations. Like I love talking to people that are like hungry and just want better for themselves. This one guy came up to me yesterday, and I pointed him towards AI, and I told him that if he learns AI and he can deliver a service that provides value to businesses, then he can have that financial freedom he's looking for. Because why I'm pointing them towards AI is because generally people are stuck in their old ways and the younger guys are adaptable. And I think that AI has brought down the barrier of technology, right? Like you don't need a 10-person dev team anymore, right? And I think it's brought down the barrier of needing a lot of resources, generally speaking, right? So I think that, if I ever have any advice for any of the young guys that are looking to start off in any kind of business, it's like really master AI right now because it's moving really fast and it can drive a lot of value to certain people, and it's very new. It levels out the playing field between them and the 40 or 50 or 60-year-old entrepreneur, right? Everybody's starting, generally speaking, from scratch.
And do you feel like it's the same as the digital marketing 15 years ago?
That's how I see it,
Yeah, same way.
right? Like, I'm like, okay, wow, like that was like my aha moment.
Yeah.
That was my paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And it's like AI is what that was, but
Yeah.
maybe even more powerful.
Right. Right. And I'm building an AI tax app right now. And I'm like, so I'm in it and
Mhm.
I'm seeing it's like I have an airplane and
Mhm.
everyone else has a car.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Good luck competing with me,
It's
baby.
insane,
Yeah.
man. It's insane.
And if you're young and you already have that technology acumen,
Yeah.
like go to a business owner and be like, hey, I'll give you this tool for free.
Yeah.
It's gonna automate your emails or
Right.
like something that a business owner doesn't want to do anymore.
Right.
And then just build on it
Yeah.
and sell
Get
it
your
to
foot in the door,
yeah,
get some feedback,
yeah,
get, somebody that can, give you that feedback to just keep building on it. And there's just no real barrier of entry.
yeah,
It's something as simple as like an AI receptionist,
yeah,
right? You could probably whip one up in, I don't know, a couple weeks.
right,
But that can deliver a lot of value
yeah,
to somebody who might be paying somebody like 50, 60 grand a year just to be a receptionist. Sure, they're doing other things,
yeah,
but like take away that and how much more can you give them for
right,
what? Maybe $100 a month,
right,
150. Okay. Like, starting entry.
right.
So I think that AI is probably the best advice I can give the young guys where they could probably get something going really fast, get some clients really fast, and do something that nobody else can maybe provide for that person.
And what's next for you?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Um, we're dabbling a little bit in AI. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Nothing super super formal, like not necessarily within my business, but something to take to B2B consumers. We'll beat it to the B2B market. I would like to get into AI mostly because of its ability to scale,
Mm.
right? Like I always have this a number in my mind, like 100 million. And I'm like, man, like to get to 100 million, like in construction, it's like, I gotta like buy 4 more companies
Yeah,
and then they're like spread out everywhere.
yeah,
And there's a what I call a key man risk. Like I really need a key man in there. I need him to drive it. And if he or she just like decides to become, an addict or something one day and I lose them and I got this huge have this huge company that I got to figure out. I don't want to deal with that.
yeah,
Whereas you build an AI company, you could probably get to $100 million with, 20, 30 staff, maybe less,
yeah.
one office, and you have the whole market at your finger, the whole world at your fingertip.
That's exactly how I'm thinking. So accounting multiples are between 1 and 2 times revenue for traditional models.
Right.
So you do $10 million, you'll make $20 million, but you need like 200 staff, 300 staff to hit that $10 million revenue
Right.
because it's all labor intensive. An AI firm that's doing $10 million is valued at 10 times revenue.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now you're at less staff,
Right.
but a higher value.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the numbers start making sense
That's right.
versus like you're saying in construction, you need people.
Right.
So in order for you to be $100 million, you need 200 staff. Like
That's
you
it.
need to be across Canada, getting the contracts. It's like a grind.
And I think the multiple on tech is on revenue versus like brick and mortar is on EBITDA.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just like even more,
Yeah.
I think
You can be at a net loss.
yeah, it's craziness, man. It's craziness. It's craziness. Yeah.
Scalability.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tech is just another world, man.
Yeah.
And I feel like too, like to really have that legacy of being an entrepreneur, like I think I need to be able to show I can do it in something else. I think. I don't know. Maybe it's just these weird voices in my mind telling me, like, maybe it's still imposter syndrome. It's like, man, it's okay. These constant battles of push harder and don't push.
I could honestly say, I mean, construction, I think tech is probably one of the hardest because you're building a house or multi-res, not knowing who's going to buy it.
Right.
Like, so you're spending, and I think the barrier of entry is going to be less and less, but you're still spending significant money to commercialize your product. You can go on Lovable or Replit and build an app for maybe your use or someone else's use. But once you get into commercialize, you need data protection.
Right.
You need all the stuff.
Yeah, it's got to be it's got to be a certain system architecture.
Yeah.
And what I meant specifically to barrier of entry for the young guys is them maybe getting 10 clients at like $2,000 a month versus like what you're trying to do, and you're trying to get like thousands of
Right.
companies all around the world.
Absolutely.
Right. So it's a bit of a
Yeah.
difference there when I
But
meant to,
start there.
yeah.
Get the $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
Build your cash flow to get to there. I'm
Right.
skipping that step because I already did it.
You've been there. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But yeah, there's I was in the digital marketing space too. I saw the opportunity in SEO. I built my whole company around being number one in Google. So I got that. Once I saw myself as number one on Google, I was like, okay, I'm doing it in Toronto. I'm doing it in Vancouver. I was able to do it all virtually. It
Nice.
paid a dividend for me. But now with AI, I'm seeing that times 100. Like everyone's talking about GEO now. Like, how do you get searched on AI? Like Claude gave me a referral the other day. Someone was doing their bookkeeping in Claude and they're like, okay, you need tax work. Reach out to Taxify. And I'm like, damn, that was like another aha moment.
Yeah.
Being like, I'm getting referrals now
Wow.
from ChatGPT and Claude. Like,
Yeah.
how do I get more of those?
That's right.
Because now I'm not spending any money.
Right.
I'm just getting referrals based on what Claude can't do.
Right. And did you find that mostly from content? Like building really good content?
I personally, I don't know how I got there. No. So
No, fair. I get
yeah,
it.
like it was just me playing around with Claude, probably telling Claude what I'm doing
Right, right,
at a high level and it connecting people to me.
right.
But I haven't spent $1 on GEO yet,
Yeah, yeah,
which I will.
yeah.
That was just kind of like, oh yeah, I should spend more money on digital marketing in a different way.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Are you still doing SEO? Like, are people still on search?
Yeah,
Like,
you
how
know,
are people finding you now versus 10 years ago?
man,
Or
we
5 years?
cast such a huge net. To be honest with you, like we do everything from we do SEO, we do the digital marketing, we do the infield marketing, but I feel like the SEO work goes a little bit hand in hand with optimizing for AI.
Yeah.
Right? Because the AI is just looking to search for like really good quality content. I mean, the main difference in like, let's say back in the day, we're not just spinning random articles to keyword stuff and just like really get a keyword rich article out there. We're actually developing like really good, useful content.
Is that all internal or are you hiring an external company to do it all?
It's like internal, but like the guys I use are just subs.
Okay.
Like for like specific work.
So you dove deep into how SEO works.
Yeah. So we're like it's run by me and my brother. So like I don't even have a marketing department.
Right.
It's like me and my brother, and we got like 2 or 3 subs
Okay.
that are just like really specialized. I got one guy that's really good at Meta, and one guy that's good at Google and content, and yeah. And we just I didn't like working with agencies, right? Just bad experiences. I think mostly because I knew too much.
Right.
Right? Like these agencies like talked the game, got a lot of clients, wanted to do like the least and get the most.
Yeah.
And just like didn't, so I never really liked that. And I just found like really specialized guys who used to work for agencies but now work for themselves, and they might have like 5 or 10 contracts, work from home, and maybe make their 20, 30 grand a month. And but like they're really specialized and they care, you know. They're guys that are like messaging you on a Sunday being like, oh, look at our, you know, great results, or they're guys that answer within, you know, 24 hours, and they're the guys that just like say really smart things and look at things from a smart perspective, as opposed to just trying to, you know, give you the buzzwords and then hope you buy it and move on.
And charging 7x of what it it should be.
Exactly. So I've never had good experiences with that.
How would someone starting out get that first client? Just knock on the door, phone calls, like you do everything, right? You call, you know, you have sales reps, you do SEO, you do digital, you do, you know, sponsored ads on, I think, OBJ.
Yeah, we used to do that. Now we're on that side of things. We're doing CFRA ads with Bill Carroll and stuff like that. But like when you're saying somebody starting off like as an entrepreneur in general, I mean, you know, I think marketing is always has to be first. Now the question is, if they have no money, how would they go about that? Then I would say maybe cold outreach on LinkedIn. There's a specific way to do it without having to have credits, by the way. And that actually worked really well for us when we were creating a funnel to acquire companies. We did this like free loophole hack, and we got crazy response rate. But I mean, like, if the real way to do it is you got to save some money and you've got to spend it on marketing and just be
What would
very
be your
vigilant.
first avenue today?
You know, it's tough, right? Because like for example, we spend like something like, I don't know, 70 grand a month on ad spend. So it's like, I don't know if I would say Google, but I don't, and specifically for local businesses, like, so arbitrage, but I just don't know if that's the same as it was 16 years ago. So I'm very in the know with the marketing, but I've also been stepping back and letting my brother lead the way. I know the high level, but I'm not like in the know to the day.
Gotcha.
Like I used to be.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a really tough one.
Yeah. Because there's so many different avenues, and it obviously depends on your customer and who you're going after.
And 16 years ago, no construction, generally speaking, were advertising on Google.
Right.
So it's just super easy, right?
And that same shift is going on right now with AI.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Like, how can you get into AI algorithm if you're a construction company or if you're whatever before people do it?
Right.
Because it's going to be a lot cheaper.
Right.
You get way more span and your dollar goes way further.
Right. There's no paid route with that though, eh?
No.
No.
I don't know.
I don't think there is. Yeah.
You're going to be...
Yeah.
You're going to be the
now you got me thinking. Like,
I hear your mind turning. Well, we have a closing tradition where if you left a sticky note on your first laptop before you ever got started, what would it say?
I would say that losers look for excuses and winners look for opportunities. And that's something that I truly believe. Actually, it's funny. I make my kids say this every day now too.
Okay,
yeah. Hey, look, you know, excuses are really easy, right? And it's the easy way out of everything. And you just gotta always look for the opportunities. Because the funny thing is opportunities are everywhere.
Yeah.
But you have to know that it's an opportunity. Because if I use my example, let's say my brother came to me and he's like, let's do this digital marketing and construction. I could have easily said, I know nothing about construction.
Right.
I'm not trying to lose my shirt.
Right.
I want nothing to do with it. Or I could do what I did and said, yeah, you know what? This is a real opportunity. Like, we got a way to be able to make the phones ring and get people on the phone who want to buy services from us in an industry where people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is a real opportunity. So like, you see how like there's two different outlooks you could have had. And the most important was searching for the opportunities, so to know that it is an opportunity, but always keeping your mind open and positive.
Well, thank you so much for taking your time. I really appreciate this conversation. Entrepreneurship, it's a battle. And what I really got from this conversation, I feel like you're so authentic and you say it how it is, and you're so real that I could see how the staff and suppliers really resonate with you because you're just being real with them all the time. I don't think there's any gatekeeping. And I think that's what we need in society in a positive way, right?
Yeah.
Like, just question things, stay curious. What's going on with our system for it to be like this? Like, you're always thinking what's next and trying to, look in the future and bring it back to help navigate your current entrepreneurial path. That's what I got from it a lot. Plus all your experience. And it's so funny, you diving into marketing and getting going. And I felt a lot of my journey in you too, which is super cool. There's been a couple people on the podcast that have talked about the $100 million kind of threshold. So I might bring people back on in the future to be like, how do we all get there as a community? Because I do think a lot of people go into the safety of the government, especially in Ottawa, from a culture perspective, that the numbers don't make sense now to work for someone. Maybe they did 5 years ago, but now I truly think small businesses create the economy, and it's us to dictate. If you make $100,000 as a salary employee now, I don't think you could afford a house or your ongoing living. That you have to think bigger. You have to think bigger now,
Mm-hmm.
just because of what cards we've been dealt. So listening to conversations like you today and your journey, I hope it helps one entrepreneur take their business to the next level, and or someone starting their business. So thank you for taking the time to do this. Where can people get a hold of you if they're looking to reach out to you or for your services?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on here. And if anybody's looking to get a hold of me, my Instagram is I am Ferriss, so IAMFARES, or just on LinkedIn, Ferriss Elsabbagh, FARES, last name ELSABBAGH. Yeah, man, and love what you're doing. That you're taking this big jump, man. I'm rooting for you, and I know it's not easy, and it's obviously a lot of work and a lot of your time. So I wish you luck, and hope to see you succeed. And yeah, man, I mean, as you were mentioning, I think maybe it'd be pretty cool to have like $100 million mastermind.
Yeah.
Those who are maybe doing a couple million or tens of millions in business, but like are looking for that 100 million. I'd love to hear what these people have to say, because I think sometimes also just being in a room of these kind of people alone will give you that energy and that excitement.
Yeah. And thinking bigger.
Yeah, that's it.
Thanks,
Sweet,
buddy.
buddy. Thanks.